Adesso passiamo a...
Now we're going to talk about clamps, another procedure that requires time, but it's just that time because we're going to clean the clams further. Since it is a mollusk that lives under the sand, usually it eats sand and some sand grains remain under the shell. So what we're going to do to try to clean the mussels nicely from these residues, we're going to create a kind of seawater, which is the natural habitat. So we're melting some salt, some sea salt in water. For 1 kilo of clams, 1 liter of water and 30 grams of salt. Melt the salt nicely in the water. Then we're going to pour it in a tray, like this. And put the clams inside, being careful not to put the broken ones which are dead already. So we're going to lay them nicely and covered, to make sure that they are all covered by the water. This must be done for 24 hours, keeping the mussels in a fresh and dark environment and silent environment. So we're going to cover the clams with some aluminum, and we're going to put them in the fridge for the whole night. So tomorrow morning they will be ready. If we don't have time, 12 hours are okay, but this must be done. If we have the possibility to use some seawater, some actual seawater, it's even better. So after 12 hours, we're going to take them, and to make sure that we don't have any sand, we're going to further so we're going to beat them, further process, we're going to beat them inside a bowl. So kind of drop them. So sometimes we can find some clams and they're closed and they're filled with water. We can only see that by doing this operation. If we don't do this, we risk to open the clams and to have this full of sand clam inside our preparation. So we throw away one whole portion or even more. So delicately dropping them into a bowl. If it does have sand, it will open and the excess sand will come out. So once we've done this, we're going to step them in clean water and we're going to lay them down on another tray. And we're going to step to the opening of the clams. Differently from mussels, we're going to use some celery stems, some garlic with the peel on, and some chili, because we need a temperature that's very high to open the clams. So if we use the leaves of the parsley, they would burn. And with the stems, which they are going to hold for longer, and they won't burn. Same thing for the garlic. So whole garlic with the skin on, broken chili, celery stems. Sorry, not celery, parsley. Been saying celery, but it's actually parsley. So we're going to add some oil. Always keep white wine with you, you're going to need it to blend the whole thing. And some plastic to immediately cover once you have blended with white wine. So once you open the mussels, you should have a bowl with a sifter in order to divide the fruit, the clams from the water. So we are developing some flavor here. to wait a little bit more. And we're going to put our clams very quickly. Stake them with our hands, it's not just throw them directly from the tray, otherwise the water from the clams might get in there. We're going to let them take some flavor, so by moving them around, blending with some white wine, not too much, so that it blends nicely. Now let's wait for the alcohol to evaporate, keeping the flame nice and high, the heat nice and high, and we're going to cover with plastic film. And we're lowering the heat and letting it cook for a few minutes. So our 5 to 6 minutes have passed, our clams are all open, and now what we're going to do is with a sifter. First we're going to take them and lay them on a tray. So we're only taking the clams and not the liquid, the cooking liquid. And sorry, I'm going to cover them again with some plastic foil so that the steam will keep our clams damp and soft and they will not dry. So this is the first operation. Set them aside and let them cool down. Second operation, we're going to take the water and we're going to filter it. This is a further passage to eliminate all the sand, to make sure that we remove all the sand. So we're going to filter it through a chinois or a sifter covered with some absorbing paper, so that we have a further filtering. And we will be sure we don't have any sand, which is very, very bothering when we find it in the spaghetti with clams. So let's make spaghetti with clams. Salt her in the water. Do not exaggerate, because we already have the clam water, which is already quite savory. So put in the spaghetti. Just lower them down in the water with some tongs and cook them by 3/4 of the way. Not half of the cooking, because it's a long pasta, and dry pasta it will dry when we when we finish the cooking in the pan. So 3/4 of the way is the perfect time to finish the cooking in the pan. So we're going to put some clam water in the pan and some cooking water, some pasta water, where we will finish our spaghetti cooking. We must not put too much clam water, because otherwise it will reduce and the whole thing would be too savory, too salty. Here on the side I have some garlic oil, chili oil, minced parsley, clams with the shell and without the shell, and some lime powder we're going to put as a garnish on the dish. So we can lower or turn off the heat under the pan because it's already boiling. Always be careful to dose the clam water, not to use too much because it's very salty. I will start with a little bit of it to give some flavor to the spaghetti, and then I finish at the last time so that it is the final flavor, and it's not salty but it's fresh. So always stir in the pasta, but we're not going to strain it yet because it's still too hard. So the mollusks must be put at the last moment, or otherwise they would become too gummy. So at the very last moment we're going to add all the other ingredients, the oils and the parsley and the clams. So the pasta is 3/4 of the way cooked. The water in the pan is boiling, so we can put our spaghetti. Adding some pasta water. So if we had a pasta that was too undercooked, it would have broken in this phase. So we're trying here to let it release the starch by moving it and sauteing it like this. So we'll be letting all the water dry off so that we can put the other liquids at the last moment. Garlic oil, just only made with fresh garlic and extra virgin olive oil. Chili oil, and the right amount of spiciness, so we need parsley. Sauteing a bit. And the last part of the clam water. And the clams. Sauteing nicely. Another bit of pasta water. another bit of the oils. Now we can plate up. Clams. The other clams with the shell. And I'm going to finish by adding some of the cooking liquid. And finishing with a bit of lime powder to give freshness.